Recently, we hear a lot in the news about China's rise in the economic world and the international community. Many have said that the country may even surpass the United States in economic growth and that it may even be the world's largest economy. However, there are many factors to prevent that, and there are reasons that these perceptions may not be true. China does not fit the definition of a superpower. First, China is a communist nation. The country is also characterized by having little democracy compared to Western nations. Literally, the politics of China is controlled by one party, which is called the Communist Party. The country does not hold national elections, and the government vehemently represses advocacy for a multi-party system. The only elections in China are held in the local level. And usually, the higher the level of the position, the lesser democracy is available. The country actively censors the media and has made every effort to curb the freedom of speech, which is fundamental to democracy. Recently, the government suppressed democracy movements in Hong Kong and has attempted to suppress its status as a special administrative region in China. A country without a democratic system cannot be a superpower at all. Second, even though China will become the largest economy, that doesn't mean its economy is the most powerful in the world. According to the statistics of the International Monetary Fund, China ranks 79th in nominal GDP, which puts it at par with many Eastern European countries and the countries in the southwestern part of Africa. About 85% of China's population has a lower standard of living. More than half of China's population still lives in villages, most without access to adequate medical care, safe drinking water, and a decent education. China's economy is an export-oriented economy because of its lower standards. Although it's dependent on exports made economic growth in China, it has become increasingly dependent on Western consumers. China's economy is a communist economy, and its economy has been criticized by Western media for currency devaluation, protectionism, and intellectual property theft. However, there are only few instances of capitalism, especially in the special economic zones of China. Third, despite being geographically isolated, China has to contend with several regional rivals, namely Russia, India, and Japan. With that, it is difficult to secure the country because they put a lot of weight of China's military and economic resources. There are also disputed claims to the South China Sea, which can also put weight on the national security and military as well. Also, there are so many constraints with China's trade and shipping lanes. After all, China does not have freely open seas that can control trade. The East China Sea ends in the Ryukyu Islands, in which Japan can be in a position to blockade Chinese trade if it wished so. Japan is a NATO member, which could make Japan the biggest obstacle to Chinese power. Japan and the United States can make sanctions against China. Secondly, it is difficult to trade by sea west of China since there are so many constraints. While trying to trade with markets west of them, China's ships have to reach through Singapore for sea trade with South Asia, Middle East, and Europe. The South China Sea and the Strait of Malacca are very crowded, so it is harder to get goods from one place to another. China is even asking Pakistan to build a port to freely trade with Europe. This goes to show how constrained Chinese trade and shipping is. Another possibility is to trade with Europe is through the land, and even then it would take very long. So many factors there are that China would not be the next superpower due to communism, regional rivalries, and geopolitics. It is best that China is a regional power, though it could not have a hegemony in Asia.